to force an end to my protest, and maybe even throw me in jail for a few years. That would put an end to my protest if they could have me in jail for a few years. And they've certainly tried to do that with false accusations against me. I actually had to defend myself in court against some of these false accusations, and I was acquitted, when the Crown prosecutor couldn't prove a single one of the 4 or 5 points of law that he needed to obtain a conviction. I should say that actually took place before I was doing a lot of video recording. That was back in between 2000 and 2003. I literally just didn't have the equipment, to be able to do what I'm doing right now at that point in time. It may have existed, but it was extremely expensive. Now, you can drop even, certainly less than $200. If you're lucky and you find a used one, you can get like a video capable camera for, $100 or so, sometimes even less. I've seen sort of GoPro knockoffs for as little as $50. So now the technology exists to document your protest and everything, and I use it. And one of the reasons I use it is to protect myself against false accusations brought against me by Montreal Unitarians who are basically bringing false accusations of crimes against me in an effort to, have me jailed, I guess, or if not jailed, at least told to stop protesting, and then to maybe be fined into oblivion, have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of fines to the point where I just give up because I can't afford to protest. I've actually got a few fines and I just refused to pay them because they were total bullshit. I was given a $100 plus fine for writing chalk slogans on the sidewalk that I never should have been given, and I contested it, and I had one of these second-rate Montreal court judges who upheld the ticket, even though, as far as I'm concerned, it's unconstitutional to ticket someone for expressing themselves with chalk slogans during a protest. And in fact, I do believe that there is some jurisprudence to that effect in Canada, but we got like these second-rate judges, not all of them, but some of the municipal court judges are these basically little tin pot fascists who basically don't give a shit about the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and so on, and just happily rubber stamp abuse of police power by the SPVM. And believe me, I'm not the only victim of that. So that's that. Let's talk about Margot Ellis. January 4th of 2014, so not that long ago, my first protest in January 2014. I was protesting. I was right about where I am now. Margot Ellis. So we're going to reenact this a little bit, and we'll see what actually happens. So basically, I'm like around here. Let's say Margot Ellis is around where that person is, but walking the opposite direction. She's walking towards me. So I keep walking forward, and you'll notice that manhole cover there. So I move over to my right, and I stand on the inside edge of the sidewalk on the manhole cover. Now, there was a lot of snow, but basically, as you can see, the sidewalk is completely clear. I am not on the sidewalk. I am on the inside of the manhole cover. Margot Ellis looks me right in the eye, and then she barges into me with her elbow and knocks me completely off my feet. I fell on my back in the snow as a result of this body check delivered by Margot Ellis, who, by the way, was, I don't know if she was at the time, but she has been president of the board of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. She's still a prominent member of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. She's currently, most ironically, in charge of their communications. So she's their communications officer, as it were. So Margot Ellis knocks me on my back, completely off my feet, with a body check worthy of an NHL hockey player, perhaps a female rugby player. That's an assault. And it was, I gave her lots of room to pass, and she pretended that I was in her way. Well, even if I was in her way, basically what you do is you stop, you say, Robin, could you please move out of my way because you're blocking me? And I would step out of her way, or not. If I didn't, I would, because I'm the kind of person who does. What I say is, let's pretend that I really was in her way, and I refuse to to get out of her way. Well, there's other ways of dealing with that than assaulting me. You know, you can walk around me and so on. You know, but no, Margot pretended that I was in her way when I wasn't, and used that as an excuse to assault me with a body check. And I didn't call the police right away. I didn't like immediately call into SPVA to report that I was assaulted by Margot Ellis, because I'm not that kind of person. You know, I said, let's think about this a bit. It's not an emergency. You know, I can call this in anytime I want. I basically got a time frame of, you know, once the assault's committed, you know, from a legal standpoint, you've got some months within which you can report it, you know, if not a year or more. But certainly, I would say at minimum, you got about 6 months within to report the assault. So there was no rush. You know, I didn't need to call 911 to have the cops come. And I didn't want to necessarily interfere with my protest. You know, I was protesting. I wanted to continue to protest. I didn't want to like end up having a big long chat with the police, you know, when I was protesting. So I didn't call the cops right away. So I'll call them during the week and see what they think, you know. So what happens? About an hour later, as I had completed my protest and had packed everything up and was just on the point of leaving, a police car shows up. Pulls up in front of the church, and I just waved to the cop, you know, see you later, I'm gone. You know, because I figured, you know, yeah, they got some kind of bullshit call, and I figured if he knew that I was leaving, that, you know, that would be that. There'd be no point. And he said, no, I need to talk to you, you know. I said, okay, fine, let's have a chat. My camera wasn't running because the protest was over, and I'd shut down the camera. I was leaving, and so I didn't actually have the beginning. You know, I didn't have like video of the police car rolling up. I didn't have video of the first few minutes, or certainly the first few seconds of the chat with this police officer. But once I realized, oh shit, this is Montreal Unitarians, you know, interfering in my protest again. And initially it was just about my filming. You know, basically, you know, he was making an issue of the fact that I was filming my protest. That was the initial thing that he said. You know, so I turned on my camera and I'm recording our discussion. You know, we're discussing, most ironically, you know, whether or not you can film these kinds of things, you know. So then what happens is another police car showed up, and then a couple more cops showed up. So and then one of the cops, not the initial one who I had had the initial contact with, said, and to be honest, I can't remember his exact words right now, that it was kind of like, you know, a woman fell down in front of church. He didn't specifically accuse me of assaulting a woman, but that was basically what he was getting at. Like, you know, a woman fell down in front of church and you're responsible for that. You know, you did something to cause this woman to fall. He was essentially at least suggesting that I had assaulted a woman in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. And I said, no, that didn't happen, you know. And he said, we have eyewitnesses. You know, it's like, oh, really? You got eyewitnesses to something that didn't happen? You know, I said, no, you don't. You know, I said, you don't have eyewitnesses to something that didn't happen. And I've got video that shows the exact opposite what happened. I've got video of Margot Ellis barging into me and knocking me on my ass into the snow. You know, so if anyone was assaulted in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, it was me, and it was done so by a woman called Margot Ellis. And guess what? Since you guys are here, I want to file an assault report against Margot Ellis, and on top of that, I want to file a public mischief complaint against whoever called in this false report to the police, pretending that I'm responsible for knocking a woman down in front of church. And I actually tried to persuade them to go into the church, because this was all outside church. I said, you know, go in, get that report. You know, like, take the report from whoever made it, get it all in writing, get them to sign it, and then once that's done, I'm going to have them charged with public mischief for making a false report to the police. Well, SPVM cops, being who they are, not wanting to do more than they absolutely have to, didn't actually do that, which would have really seriously dissuaded Montreal Unitarians from calling in false reports to the police. If they'd gotten this full written report full of a completely false accusation of assaulting a woman on my part in front of the church, and I had then turned around and had whoever made that report charged with public mischief, and I, basically there'd be more than enough evidence to have them convicted. But of course, SPM cops, like I said, they like to do the absolute minimum, except when it comes to shutting down protests, actually. Then they seem to want to do quite a bit. But anyhow, so they didn't do that, but what they did do is they took my report of Margot Ellis's assault on me. To the credit of the initial officer who had stopped me, he actually said, in our conversations, well, you have video of this. If you show me the video, I'll go in and arrest the woman right now, So in other words, he was saying, if you can show me the video of this woman barging into you and knocking you on your ass in the snow with a body check, I'll go in right now and I'll arrest her. But I didn't want to interrupt my filming of what was going on with the cops. I wanted a full record of that. So I said, well, I don't want to do that right now because, I'm basically filming this. I mean, they pretty well knew it was being filmed. I didn't specifically say so, but I think they understood that, my camera was running by that point. So anyway, the whole upshot of this, though, is that Margot Ellis assaulted me. There's no question that Margot Ellis assaulted me, really, in most people's minds. Anyone who looks at the video will agree that, yeah, she delivered a body check that knocked Robin Edgar on his ass in the snow. But what happened is I filed the assault complaint against Margot Ellis. These cops were very good about that. I have no complaints about how the cops handled that situation, other than the fact that they were duped by Montreal Unitarians when they maybe shouldn't have been so easily duped. But once I said, no, that didn't happen, no, and on the contrary, actually a video of a woman assaulting me, they did change their tune, and they weren't too aggressive or anything, and they didn't continue to accuse me of assault when I hadn't done any such thing. They made that initial more of an insinuation than an actual accusation. They did not specifically say you assaulted a woman. It was presented as, a woman fell down in front of church and